What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Dissect That Film Slice of TV, where we sit down and talk about new release TV shows. Today, we are covering episode 4 of Marvel Studios' new show, Moon Knight, now available on Disney Plus. Episode 4, titled "The Tomb," which perfect title for this episode. There's a lot of tomb imagery, and pretty much this entire episode takes place in a tomb. So, perfect title. Good job, Moon Knight. This was definitely my favorite episode so far. This was what I've been wanting to see through the last 4 episodes. I love Egyptian mythology. I love seeing this, the imagery that we see throughout the episode. You get some, well, we talked about it last week with episode 3, but you get some mummy like feels to this episode. It's just awesome. There's literally a situation where it just kind of feels like you're in a mummy movie, and I'm all about it, even though you're like, yeah, you want it to be its own thing, but it's okay to kind of feel that way when you see what you see in this episode. We get to see a lot more of Steven again, and his kind of relationship with Layla, and Mark just trying to get out. With the ending of episode 3 being the way it was, you pretty much get the understanding that you're not going to see Moon Knight as a character in much of this episode or at all in this episode. So it was definitely a different feel, but to be honest, it felt great. The thing for me is like, yeah, you want to see Moon Knight, you want to see the costume, you want to see him fighting bad guys and doing what he does with the suit, but also getting to see, some different things with these characters that don't involve, a superpowered being to come in and kind of, take care of business. It's great. The end of this episode is just kind of such a curveball where it's like not expected. And yeah, I loved it. I at first when it pops up, you're like, okay, what is this? What's going on here? Is this something that's going on inside, their head, or is this actually happening? And by the end of the episode, it kind of just abruptly ends. But you're like, okay, I'm so excited for what episode 5 is going to bring. These are my concerns with this show. And this is my concern with most Marvel shows. All of Marvel Studios shows have usually been about 6 or 8 episodes, mostly 6, which to me, I feel like the pacing is not going to be good. And we've seen that with some of the prior Marvel Studio shows where for me, I feel like you get those first 4 episodes are perfectly paced. And then it's like, shit, we only have 2 episodes left. How are we going to finish this off in these final 2 episodes? We haven't got any word whether or not Moon Knight's going to be coming back for season 2, so I feel they really need to wrap this up with a bow and not leave these things hanging. But it's tough. You have 2 episodes left, and it's the way that this episode ends. It's like, man, I feel like there's got to be at least 4 more episodes, right? And you're looking at it, and you're like, nope, this is episode 4. We only have 2 left. So where are we going? Where is this all going to end? So yeah, but to be honest, I love this episode. I feel that's the thing with Marvel Studios shows is that they really do a great job with their 4th episodes. They really bring out a lot of the story and a lot of some backstory with other characters, and it all kind of, there's just a lot going on, but it's all great for me. At least for me. I know some people might have their complaints because of the lack of Moon Knight in this episode. And that's okay. But to get what we got, I'm perfectly okay with. I'm not really good at this non-spoiler stuff. I really just want to talk about the episode. So anyone out there who, talks about shows and movies without spoiling and can do it for like 20 minutes, you are champions, because I'm bad at this. So listen, I'm going to hop into some spoilers. I'm not going to do a plot breakdown like I have been. I feel like that's just kind of not the point of the show. This is kind of just talking about the my likes and dislikes of the show and where I think it's gonna go. So we're gonna get into some spoilers, and we're gonna talk about we'll talk about things out of order. We'll talk about, you know, and yeah, we'll have our predictions at the end of where we think what we're gonna see going forward. So yeah, so this episode literally is, you know, Mark and Steven. Conchu's gone at the end of the last episode. Conchu is entombed in stone, so pretty much he can't do anything, meaning the powers that he gives to Mark and Steven are gone. So they can't change into Moon Knight or Mr. Knight. So you're gonna get a lot of just Steven and Layla, and then, Mark kinda shows up later on. Just, Mark and Steven they're mortals now. Like, they don't have the healing capabilities. Something happens to them, it's over. Their whole thing is to get to Amit's tomb before Haro, and Ethan Hawke is probably one of my favorite villains so far in a Marvel show, because he's just so calm about everything, and he just kind of goes through every step of the way without kind of putting out too much anger or kind of like overreacting to things. He is just so like calm through the whole thing, and it's kind of creepy. Ethan Hawke is a fantastic actor, so he definitely wasn't worried about what he could do on screen. Oscar Isaac keeps chewing up the screen as both Steven and Mark. Steven is kind of growing on me. I know there was at one point in one of the episodes where I was like, "Ah, there's too much of Steven. I need more Mark." And now it's like, I really like Steven. He's a good character, or he's, a good, you have those two completely opposite sides when it comes to the different personalities. Um I wouldn't even consider, they're not even personalities. So they have DID. So it's more of, I don't really want to go into like technical and medical, like, the whole definition of it all. But from what I have read and from what I've watched, they do a very good job at portraying DID on screen. So that's cool. I'm really, it's I'm happy to see something like that. With somebody who doesn't suffer from that, or, it's good to see representation for people who do suffer from this. So yeah, it's really cool to see the way that these characters are kind of, they're always at ends with each other, and then they kind of come together by the end of the episode because things just don't go their way. So yeah, they need to find Amit's the I can't remember what the heck they're called, but it's like a little stone thing that is pretty much what Conchu is put into. So what they need to do is they had to find Amit's so they could break it, release her back into the world. They find this tomb, and they find Amit's tomb, and they go in there, and at first they're going through and they discover, like, this must be like a protector. Either it's a protector of the tomb or it's something that Haro sends, but it's like it reminded me of the mummy so much, because it was this creature that was making this weird, really weird noises, and it was pretty much embalming. It was like mummifying the some of the guys that were with Haro, because you could hear like gunshots in the distance, and like this thing was like dragging in. Dude, it was kind of a horror movie, man. It was a scene from a horror movie, and I was all about it. And it's just that the effects were really cool. I like how it was all kind of set in the dark. So you don't really get to see like full features to kind of throw you off, like, oh, maybe it didn't look as good. And that's what's great about special effects that are shot in the dark, is even if it's not doesn't look great, which Moon Knight special effects have kind of been hit and miss. And it's good to see, if they can light it the right way, it looks good. And they kept this creature kind of in the dark, so you didn't really get to see much until Layla encounters it and shoves a flare in its eye, and you get to kind of see a red silhouette of what this thing looks like. So it was really cool. Excuse me. Um. So yeah. So this was a lot of fun to watch, especially the relationship between Steven and Mark as they discover the tomb. And it was really cool because you're expecting it to be some big time Egyptian pharaoh, because you find out that that the last avatar for Amit was a pharaoh, and so you're waiting for, like, is it Ramses? Is it I wanna name other Egyptian pharaohs, but I can't think of any off the top of my head. It can't be King Tut because I already discovered him. But you find out it's Alexander the Great's tomb, and you're like, "Holy shit." You don't hear much about him, except for, in the history books or, when they made that movie back in the mid 2000s with Colin Farrell. But I thought it was really cool because he discovers that, like, writing is in Macedonian, which is where Alexander the Great was from. So it kind of was like, "Oh, shit," and I don't think they've ever discovered his tomb in, in real life. So I thought it was pretty cool to kinda incorporate that into that, and until he he just defaces the tomb. He opens up the sarcophagus and, like, he's gotta find Amit's thing, so he has to break open his mouth and stick his hand down there because he was the voice. Because he pretty much stays like he was the voice of Amit, so where would he hide it that people wouldn't expect? Oh, down his throat. So you get to see some weird effects there, with Steven, retrieving, I'm just gonna call it a statue. It's a little statue. I don't remember what the heck they call, the actual thing. Um, but yeah, it was really cool to see this, and of course, you see the different sides. You see Steven, who is very interested in, all of this. This is all, like, so amazing to him, and then you have Mark, who's just kind of needs to complete his mission and move on. You get an encounter between, Haro and Layla because pretty much Haro tells her about how Steven was involved in her father's death, and she needs to wake up. Steven also warns her about the fact that, Mark is the reason that Mark was leaving her leaving her was the fact that, Khonshu wanted her as the next Avatar, so he wanted to get her out of there before before he could take control of her, and there's some stuff going on where, like, Steven's in love with Layla, and Mark's not about it because, of course, like, it's Mark's wife, but they're in the same body. It's a weird situation, but they're two. I mean, the way that this works is like they're two completely different people. Like, they share the same body, but it's like they have all different thoughts and wants and desires and all that stuff, and it's a very unique situation, that I can't even begin to understand the everything that goes along with it, but to see, you know how they interact with each other, through the reflections, I thought was a really cool touch. And it's all it's good to see that by the end of this episode, you see them kind of embrace each other. They know that they need one another, to kind of survive and to get out of the situation that they're in. So Haro catches up with him. He realizes that, he knows that Khonshu's not there, so he takes advantage of it. Of course, Mark is now in control of the body. He attacks, and Haro puts him down. He puts two shots into him and sends him into an afterlife or something. It's a weird situation. So he wakes up and he's in, like, a hospital, and you're like, is this a dream? Is this real life? Like, what is going on? And you you see it's all a white room. It's like it's supposed to be like a mental institution, and he's there. He's, like, heavily medicated. You see Layla, she's kind of all tweaked out. You see, a movie that is being watched that the main character's name is Stephen Grant. So, like, it was all very confusing, and I really hope they kind of spell it out for you in the next episode where you're like, is this just kind of like his subconscious, like, because he's dying, because he actually can die now? his subconscious kind of figuring out, like, either he's going deeper into death, or is it something else? And that's it. So he has like a talk with Haro, who is different looking now. He's dressed as like a therapist or a psychiatrist, and kind of psychoanalyzing Mark. And he just realizes he needs to get out of there, and he does. He escapes. He finds some tombs. I like how he finds like the sarcophagus that are shaking in each room, and he opens the one up, and it's Steven. And so you get like Steven and Mark are actually seeing each other face to face without seeing a reflection. It's more of, you know, now they're two separate entities or bodies. And we get it again. And there, from the comics, from what I've read, that there is a third um, you know, side of this body. And they walk by this room, and there's another sarcophagus shaking around, but they don't do anything about it. And so it's like, are we gonna see this third person at the end? Like, is this gonna come, like, when is this person gonna make its appearance? We're going into episode 5 right now. We know that there is a third person as a part of this body. When are we gonna see him? When are we gonna see him? It's crazy. And yeah, it's wild. Before, actually, I did want to mention that Steven does tell, or Mark tells Layla that he was there the night that her father was killed. I guess the person that killed her father was Steven's partner, or Mark's partner, my mistake. And she, you know, he ended up getting shot too, and that's kind of how everything happened with him and Khonshu. Like, Khonshu's the one who saved his life that night and made him the Avatar and all that. So it's interesting to see. Like, this show is wild. I'm very excited for the last 2 episodes. The very end of it is literally Steven and Mark running into the god Taweret. Taweret? I probably mispronounced that. Um, I don't know. Let me click on this real quick and let me see it. Research. What are you? It's a ancient Egyptian goddess of childbirth and fertility. So, yeah, don't know what that means, like, in the sense of the end of this episode, but it's gonna be very interesting to see where it goes from here. It's, yeah, this was definitely my favorite episode. I really loved all the Egyptian, the tomb stuff, them using Alexander the Great as kind of the, holy crap, like, that was why he was so powerful, because he was able to, he had the powers of Amit and, all that. So, yeah, that's episode 4, The Tomb. I'm very excited to see these last 2 episodes. I hope you all are too. I hope everybody's enjoying the show. If you're not enjoying the show, let me know in the comments below. What what's it lacking. I think for me, they need to be longer. I think these episodes need to be at least an hour long. I think that maybe adding a couple more episodes to the run line, even 8 episodes, I think you'll be able to do so much with 2 extra hours to tell some extra stuff. Because here's the thing, is we're on episode 4 and we got 2 left. It's like, how much are you gonna be able to do? How much are you gonna be able to say? It's gonna be a tough one, but we shall see. I think the cast is doing a great job with this. I think, Ethan Hawke's character is very good. I love him as a villain. It's weird to see him as a villain, but he plays a villain very well. I know that he's going to be in a movie called Black Phone, which comes out, I believe, very soon, where he plays a pretty messed up character. So after seeing him in this and the way that he can portray himself as that kind of creepy, he has power, but he doesn't, um, he's not like a forceful person. He's very like calm and collected. It's very good to see him like that. So it gives me high hopes for how Black Phone's going to be. Oscar Isaac. I mean, I love Oscar Isaac. I think he does very well um, in this show and pretty much anything he's in. Um, what's her name? Oh god, what the heck is May Kalamaui? She plays Layla. also has been doing a great job in this. And yeah, that's about it. I mean, there's really nothing else to talk about in this episode. It was kind of who's gonna get to the tomb first, and unfortunately, even if you're first, sometimes you end up being last. So that's the whole that's pretty much the plot line of episode 4 of Moon Knight. So yeah, we got 2 more weeks of this. I just thought I'd announce it now, and I'll probably talk about the next 2 weeks. This will be the last after these 2 weeks of doing Moon Knight by myself. I'm probably not gonna do reviews by myself much, unless it's of a show I really wanna talk about, but it won't be until the entire show's out, and I can talk about the whole thing at once. This is hard. This is hard doing solo shows. I don't know how people do it. I gotta practice or something because sometimes I feel like it's not good enough, but, I figure I'd like to sit down and talk about this show with you guys. Um, and so, yeah, after these next 2 weeks, and then after I'm done covering Halo with my friend Shoning, we're going to be changing up the way we do Slice of TV, where we're going to review shows after it's all said and done. So we'll sit down and talk about an entire season of a show instead of doing a week by week, episode by episode review, just because, you know, to give me time to do other things. There are other shows that we have ideas for, and um, doing 5 shows a week is kind of a lot. So I figured I'd say this now, and I'll probably talk about it on other shows. So yeah, that's about it. Tomorrow, you're getting a video. It's not going to be a core podcast video, but I have a special video that I'm going to be putting out tomorrow with a friend of mine. Um, so yeah, I'm not going to say what it is. So just stay tuned. Make sure you're following us on Twitter, Instagram. We're on Facebook. Make sure to drop a sub on the YouTube channel. Make sure to leave us a comment. Hit that thumbs up. It's great to read people's comments on the YouTube channel. I know a lot of people don't watch the YouTube, but if you do, make sure to leave us a comment on the video and tell us, give us some good feedback, or even if it's something that you would like to see us do, let me know. Make sure if you listen to us on podcast services to leave us 5 stars on whatever app you use. If you're on Spotify, they have the rating system. Make sure to leave us 5 stars. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, make sure to leave us 5 stars and leave us a review over there. Also, my new favorite podcast app, Good Pods, does the same thing. You can leave us 5 star rating and leave us a review on individual episodes, which is really cool. So make sure to do that so we can read those comments because I love it. Other than that, I will see you all next week on our review for episode 5 of Moon Knight. And I hope you all have a wonderful day, and we'll see y'all next time. I'm Brett Parker. This has been Dissect That Film Slice of TV. Goodbye.